Hi friends, it's Miss Goff. Welcome to a little art tutorial. I thought I would do something, put something together for you guys to do at home. Today I have a few special helpers with me. I have Miss Arabella, Miss Adelaide, and Olivia, and we can't see Helen. Helen, get in the camera. Here we go. They'll be doing this art with me, and you'll be able to see how we sort of change it up and make it work for all the different age levels. So today what we're going to do is a perspective drawing on Stonehenge. There's a lot of great mystery over how it was built or what it was built for. It's very fascinating. So we're going to do a little drawing of that. What we are using for our drawing, and what you'll need is obviously some paper. We're using watercolor paper. We're using 11 by 15 inch, but that's kind of large. It's just what we happen to have. Smaller might work a little better. You can use heavyweight construction paper. That'll be fine. And we're going to be needing pencils. Who has pencils? Pencils. You're supposed to show the pencil. Yes, we're using pencils. We will then need Sharpies, or else like a felted pen, or just a black marker.
Only paintbrushes.
Paintbrushes. If you choose to use watercolors, if you have them. If you don't have watercolors, you can use markers, and you can actually wet them, and I'll show you guys how to do that. And then for a final fun touch, we're adding salt. And you can't really see it, but I have some salt here in this cup, and we're going to use that to add some texture at the end. So come along and let's do smart. You ready to do smart?
Yeah.
You ready to make smart? All right. Okay, so we've got our paper. Now we're going to do our paper in, who can tell me what mode this is?
Portrait.
Long and skinny. Nope, not portrait. It's the other one.
Oh. Landscape.
Landscape, right. Portrait would be this way, right?
Oh.
And also horizontal.
With person,
P.
like if you were
Horizon.
doing a picture of a person, that's how they would fit best. And this is for landscapes, and we are doing a landscape, right? Because we're doing Stonehenge. So, and you guys can look at this picture there, the finished one. So the first thing we have to do with this drawing, whenever you're doing a landscape, is you decide where your horizon line is, right? That's where the sky meets the ground. So I'm going to do mine a little, maybe kind of a little less than half. And I'm just going to sort of lightly draw a little line across. And that's where my horizon line is. You don't want a straight line like that. You want this to be natural, because this is a horizon line. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, because this is perspective, so when we're drawing perspective, things that are closer are larger, and things that are going away in the distance get smaller, right?
Then which way do we want it? The smaller side down?
Smaller side down, I think, yep. So then, this is also round, so this is a little bit tricky. So what we're gonna do is this. We're gonna come in about maybe like a hand width on each side, and give yourself a little bit of a mark.
What do you mean a hand width?
A hand width, like, you know, just like roughly that far on each side of the paper. Exactly, good job. All right, and then we're gonna make a curving line, and we're gonna have one that curves down from the bottom and swoops around.
I have to flip them.
This does not have to be a perfect circle. And then one that swoops around from the top. Okay, like that. Just a nice big, kind of ovalish. You almost want this to be shaped like a lemon.
Or an
Perfect.
eyeball.
Or an eye. Yeah,
Mine is
eyeball.
weird.
Do it lightly. Remember, these are pencil marks that you're gonna erase afterwards. So don't draw heavy. No holding your pencil like this and bearing
Never
down.
do that.
You do not want a line to look like this. You can't erase that. You try to erase that,
Mom,
and you're gonna leave that line there.
Miss Goff.
You want light lines, because light lines erase. Okay, so now we've got that. Now that's our guideline that we're gonna draw our stones in. So we're gonna start in our very center. So you're gonna find the center of your loop, and you're gonna make maybe a little mark on the bottom, and think about how big you want that first stone. It's our first stone, it's the closest one, so it's gotta be the biggest. So I'm just gonna play around with how big I want it. Maybe roughly about there. Now remember, this is a stone, so it doesn't have to be perfectly sized or shaped. It's gonna be bumpy and rough, so you're not trying to make a straight line. You wanna try to make a nice bumpy sort of line, okay? Now, at any point in this video, you guys can pause it and catch up, because we don't move too fast. Hey, shh. You can hear our little. All right. Hey. Stop it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start drawing my first stone. So I'm just gonna bring my line up and find the top of the line, and then bring my next line up.
I'm too small.
And then I'm just gonna sort of make it bumpy, and I'm gonna sort of curve this edge. This can be loose. And remember, you're gonna go over it with Sharpie or black marker or pen afterwards. Addie, you're making that line really heavy. Just make it real light.
Is this okay?
That's perfect. Okay, so now you want your stone to kind of, yeah, ooh, Helen, I like how you did yours. Actually, I think I might change mine a little bit. I'm gonna get rid of this little corner here. I like that sort of broken stone look. All right, so now we're gonna give a little space on either side for our next set of stones. Now, if you feel like this isn't enough space, I'm almost feeling like I made mine too, like curve up too close, and I don't have enough space for all my stones. You can just broaden it out a little bit, make it a little wider, okay? So I'm gonna move to right about here to draw my second stone. And now this one's gonna be wider than the first one because it's at an angle, right? So instead of being face on, it's shifted. So we're only seeing part of it. So it's following this line back. And then you're gonna draw another one on the other side that's gonna be similar.
I have to erase a lot.
It's okay. Sorry, getting in your way. All right, so now we're gonna make a smaller one. Now, you've got the space between these first two. The space in between the next two is gonna be even narrower than this first space because they're farther away, so they're gonna be closer together. And now give a little space, maybe 2 fingers width, and then you're going to draw your second stone right next to it.
Where?
Well, you already did yours. So now we're gonna draw the third ones. So we're gonna draw these a little closer together.
So wait, did I do mine too close together?
No, I don't think so. Well, it's fine. They can be close. So your third set of stones are gonna be smaller, a little narrower, and a little bit closer to your first ones. I'm just gonna mess with the edges a little bit. Try to make it look the way I want it to look. Now, what I feel like doing for mine is I'm gonna imagine that back here is another sort of curved line, and they're going around in a circle, right? So then these would continue coming back here, if you imagine a line like this, and I would add a smaller stone here in the background. Maybe I'm even gonna add another broken one and then one right in here, because I want it to have that really circular look.
Too many right angles.
Ooh, it's looking good though, Liv. Here, you want to slide yours over so we can, there you go, so people can see you as you're working?
Can I see all of us?
Nope, right now they can only see me and Liv. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start erasing some of the lines that I know I don't need. Now, when I'm doing this with Sharpie, I'm not going to draw across the bottom. I'm going to outline everything, but not here, because I'll want to add some grass and I don't want a harsh line across the bottom. I want it to look like stones that are really sitting right on the ground. So that's just something to think about, because we're almost ready to start outlining. But we have another aspect of these stones to add to make them look 3D. Okay, are you guys ready for it? All right. I'm gonna slide mine over, Liv. Beep, 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 but you can keep yours right there. Okay. So now we're gonna make these look 3D. The one that's face on can't really look 3D because it's straight on. So we just see the front of it. But these ones are at an angle. So these ones now, we can see the other side of the stone. See that? So you're gonna make this little angle shooting back.
I did these
Imagine,
in class.
imagine that right here is our vanishing point, and all these lines should come down and kind of roughly. So my line, I'm gonna change it just a little.
Is mine too thin or thick?
So Addie, put a dot in the very center of your page, right on that line, right on your horizon line, right here. Yes. Now you're gonna draw a line that's gonna go from here all the way over to the bottom of this stone and this stone, not the center stone. Yep. And you're gonna draw this one's gonna come down right to there. And then from there, and now at the top will be the same thing. The tops of these stones will also come down to that vanishing point. So it looks like I had made this little extra stone in the background and kind of right in the way, so he's gonna get overlapped.
Why didn't go at the top of
And
the
that's okay.
stone?
So see, yeah, on the same stone, from this corner, the top corner, you'll draw a line that goes down and connects to the vanishing point. And from the bottom corner, you'll draw a line that comes back and connects to the vanishing point. Same thing on both sides. It doesn't have to be exact, just rough, because you know these stones are
Pretty old.
they're rough old stones and none of their angles are perfect, so yeah. And then now you're gonna move on to the stone behind it. See this smaller one here? You're gonna do the same thing. See this corner? Look, Addie. So your next stone, oh, you already did that to this stone. Okay, so now that you've done that, now that you've drawn your line, right? Now you're gonna draw another line down. See, so we're creating an edge. So now you've got these lines. So now here, you're gonna add one line down.
Like over
Like,
this way?
nope, right here towards the inside.
Oh.
Nice bumpy line and it stops.
Like
Now you do
just
the
on
same thing right
vanishing
here.
point? Just down to the vanishing
Yep,
point?
just going between those two vanishing point lines.
So
Yes, perfect, okay. And now for your next stone, is this your next smaller stone? You'll do the same thing where from here, you'll draw a line to the vanishing point.
Okay.
Very light line. So I'm gonna start here, and I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it lightly. I don't really wanna leave some heavy lines. As long as I know it's sort of going in the right direction, I'm gonna stick with that. And then I'm gonna draw this other edge. There we go. And then the same thing over here. This line, whoops. And this line. Now this little back one, I'm just gonna add a little tiny bit of that extra.
wait, so the main one you just like leave blank?
Yep, the middle one in the center just gets left blank. Okay, so now we've got our edges, and if it helps you, you can shade very lightly just those corner edges, just so that you can see them and know that those are the edges. And we'll go back over that with some Sharpie and we'll add some texture to it. So I'm just gonna shade these in so I know where my corner edges are. See what I'm doing? Addie, do you see what I'm doing?
No.
Look up for 1
doing
second.
mine.
Can you just look for a second?
Like this?
Yep, just like that. So see, I'm shading these in so I can see where they are.
Okay.
Just lightly.
My stone was all weird.
Good. Stones are supposed to look weird. They're supposed to be all kinds of odd
They
shapes.
can't all be the same.
And now this is where I'm gonna say, all right, is there anything else I wanna make wonky? Do I want my stones to come in more or come out more? Do I want any cracks in mine? And that's where I'll start to add things like that. I think I want this one to be kind of more narrow at the top. Maybe come over like this and down. So I'm just gonna erase some of these lines. And this, you can just start using your imagination for. Just whatever you feel like. Change them up a little. Make them bumpy. I think this one's pretty good. Make them irregular. They can go in and out. These little corners, see how I'm doing that? In and out. They don't have to be uniform. These are ancient stones. Ancient stones. Once we're done with fine tuning them and we have them the way we like them, then we're ready for Sharpies. And if you don't want to add Sharpies, if you want your drawing to have a more natural look and you feel like adding Sharpie would take away from that, then that's fine. You can just go straight for watercolor. You can spread out the bottoms of your stones a little bit if you want. Make them a little broader. I think sometimes they were just a little.
Am I supposed to have 2 on each side of the big one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I've got 3.
You can have 3. You can have 2, you can have 3, whichever. Oh, you know what I forgot? We have to add some stones across the top. What I would do for stones across the top is I would maybe connect like these two and maybe these two, so they're a little off-centered. So let's say we started here and we're just going to draw a stone, and he's going to be bigger on top and then a little bit smaller. Okay, that looks fabulous, Olivia. Really good.
Thank you.
Okay, so now see these lines? We're still going to use this vanishing point as our guide.
Oh, so we just make big stones on
So
the top?
yeah, so here, I'm just going to do this to show that this has this edge over here. And I want the edges to not look quite so square. So they're just sitting right up on top. They're just resting. And I added this extra line to show that it's going further back, right? It's spanning. All right, so we're gonna take a peek at everybody's work here. Wow, that's looking fabulous. Ooh, nice shapes. How are we doing over here? Super good. So, yep, so now underneath, you're gonna draw a line, see where this one ends? You're gonna draw it up. Yep, just like that. And then you gotta add the little top corner of this, so over and down, like a little square. Over and then bring it down again. Perfect. Yes, yeah, that's perfect. Yep, you can shade in the bottom if you want. All right, and I think we're ready for Sharpie. Okay. They look beautiful, ladies. Okay, that looks good. So now I've got my stone over here.
gonna have it so that it looks like it's only partly on here.
Do I lose my
See?
finishing point?
It looks like it's
Oh, it's just like hanging off. I like that. Oh, it can definitely overlap. In fact, I like that so much, Libby. I'm gonna do that too.
Yours is doing it a little bit right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. It's gonna overlap. So we're gonna make it overhang this stone that's underneath by bringing this edge over. And then I'm going to create a little bit of fun back here. I'm gonna add one spanning one of these back stones. So we've got these stones and I'm gonna add another one going across. And maybe just a little edge of one back here. All right, I think I'm ready to go ahead and outline in Sharpie. So, all right, so now we're finished. We are ready to outline with Sharpie. So we're just gonna basically trace over all of our outside lines and then we'll get into some shading. Okay, so everybody get your Sharpies and yes, what's your question?
Where did it do these lines? Like, are these supposed to be sitting on it?
They don't. No, I would say this should be behind. I would almost bring those down a little bit lower so that your horizon line is a little above. It really doesn't matter.
Put these
Or you
above.
can make the horizon line above. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry about making the horizon line in Sharpie. Let's just do our stones.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with my big center stone. Remember to be kind of loose with this and let your creativity flow. If your hand just really feels something and wants to add some extra bumps, go with it. Just go with it. And remember, I said don't go across the bottom because you might want to add grass. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and add my grass in Sharpie so that it's there. It kind of looks like it's sitting on the grass. I'm going to do my next one over here. Remember, we are not trying to make any straight lines. We're just trying to make it look like some bumpy stones. Now I'm going to add some extra little clusters of grass, and I'm just going to make them sporadic. Grassy clumps, usually with perspective drawing, things get more spread apart the closer they are. So like any grass that I do right up here in the front, the little clumps will be further apart and larger. And then back here, they're just going to be little tiny, little wispies. And I want to show a little bit of grass, like moving on. This is where I'm going to start adding in a little bit of that horizon line. But I just want it to be soft. I don't want to draw a straight harsh line. And I'm thinking I'd like to add maybe some hills back here because I like hills in landscape. So I'm just going to sort of add some dots and some lines that are curving and rolling like hills. And I'll just connect them through the stones, and that will help create that illusion of space. Whoops. Yeah, okay. If you make a little mistake like this, guys, just add a little tree.
Which one?
Oh, I accidentally messed up my line. So now I'm just gonna add some trees. So there's a little tree line back here now.
Easy for you to say, you're really good.
There we go. If you want to add something else to your drawing, if you want to add yourself sitting here or an animal or anything, go for it. Add whatever you want. You could add a little bird sitting at the top. In fact, maybe I want to add a little bird. Yeah.
Wait,
okay,
I'm not done.
So really quick, I'm gonna grab a spare piece of paper. All right, here's a scrap piece of paper, and we're just gonna go over different shading techniques. So when you're using a marker, you can use hatching, which is just a bunch of straight lines like that. And you can use cross hatching, which is lines going in one direction and then going in the opposite direction. Now, true cross hatching is where you're sort of curving them. And so let's say if you were drawing, let me start over here. If you were drawing a ball, a round object, you would curve your hatching to meet the curve of the object you're drawing. And you wouldn't want them to be perfectly uniform. You would kind of change it up, right? To make it look soft. And that would create value. And any of my students, at least my older students, know that value is, in my opinion, the most important element of art because it helps make things look round and 3D and real, and it gives shadow and depth, and I love it. You take a round shape, you add some value, and you turn it into a form.
How's that, Mommy?
Add a little shadow behind it. Ta-da. Okay. Oh, that looks beautiful. Good job. So you can do this. Another way to create value is stippling, like this. So let's say I wanted to create a circle with some stippling. I would just do a whole bunch of dots, and then I would make the dots closer and closer together in the areas with, can you see? On my shadow. So you guys can choose to do stippling, which takes a lot longer. Or you can do some hatching. Or you can just use marks. Like, I'm thinking the way I might do it, so I've got like this stone thing here. I might just add marks, little dashes, maybe I'll cross hatch in some areas. Anything to create that value difference between this side and this side, because we want those little edges to be darker in value. So you can choose to just cross hatch them, or you can choose to just do some dashes, just try to make it look rough, or you can mix it up like this. I think I'm gonna go with angled lines, and I'm gonna angle them towards our vanishing point so that it creates texture sort of going in that direction. You wanna do that too?
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna make them all exactly the same size. I'm gonna sort of, I'm gonna make them a little sparse. So some places are gonna be a little bit darker and closer together, and other places are gonna be lighter. That way, where you want there to be more shadow, like maybe there's a divot in the rock, there would be more marks, the darker value. So like right here, my rock curves in. I want it to look like it's curving in, so I'm gonna add some extra shadowing. And then down here, it's gonna be a little lighter.
I don't curve in very much.
That's fine. They don't have to. Up at the top, where the one stone is meeting the other stone, I want that to be a little bit darker to show that shadow. As the stones are getting further away from me, the littler stones, I'm gonna make my marks a little tinier and maybe a little more spread out, if I can. Maybe I'm not gonna make them more spread out, I don't know. They just look closer together anyways. And then up here, I'm just gonna one thing I like to do when I'm drawing is I turn my page so that my hand is at a comfortable position. This is comfortable for me. And I anchor my palm and then I just move my hand. So I don't want to have to crank my hand around in some funny position.
Kind of thing?
I just want to move my paper.
You don't have to. You can do it.
Now in this little corner, I want to show, see what you can kind of see this little corner, and you want to show the little bend. So I'm going to add a little bit of shadow there, and then add some more dashes, just a little, just to show that curvature. This one doesn't really have it, so I'm just going to add just a few marks, make it look rough on the end. You don't want it to look like lines. You don't want to look like you've made a candy cane.
Can I even do with back stains?
Don't do that.
I mean stones.
You want it to look...
Do I do the back stones?
Yep, do the back stones.
The tiny ones?
Just the tiny bits, yep. So, you know, sporadic.
Okay, so wait, what did you say for the cross hatch?
But how to do the cross hatching? So cross hatching is where you can do cross
You can do
hatching.
really curvy ones.
Cool. Actually, I'd love it if you guys were doing different techniques, so then I can show.
Well, I teach your technique because I like
Me too.
Well, Helen will do cross hatching, and then we'll be able to see different techniques and how it turns out. And then up here, I'm gonna.
They don't all have to be the same technique on each stone.
Anywhere. Okay, so I think we're ready to add any texture on the front. So for the front, we're just gonna add a little bit of light texture. And I'm gonna make my dashes going down so that they're different. So we've got our side angles, angle to the side. Yes, I would. So see how I did mine? I kind of curved it right here just a little, and then just to help show the curvature. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not gonna start on my first stone because I don't wanna mess this one up because that's my center stone. So I'm gonna start here, and I'm just gonna add just some random little texture. Not too much, just a little bit. Yeah, add a little bit, just a little. Think about the dots. So I'm gonna do this. So see right here, I've got this divot that comes out and I wanna create that round look. So I'm gonna use this hatching to show the curvature. I'm gonna curve in,
Well,
I'm gonna curve in, and I'm gonna curve around.
Like that goes out a little more than over here. Like it goes up and then out.
Yeah, see, just like mine. See how I did this? See how I sort of curved around?
Mine goes in more.
You can help create that 3D effect.
What do you do?
So we're just adding a little bit of texture, not much. You just want a little bit. But where you have like any divots in your rock, you can use your marks to curve and help create that illusion that they're going out and around. Okay, so that one's done.
I did that one.
Good, yeah, do a couple in the middle. See how mine are? Just a couple small ones in the middle, going down the edge. Okay. Just a few little marks. Beautiful. Love it. Okay, I
looks
feel,
like it's sparkling.
I feel confident enough to start on my big one. I'm gonna make a couple darker spots on my stone so it looks like, and I might even stipple some of it. Stippling. Okay, so I just stippled some, and so to make it darker, like see what I'm doing right here? I'm just making my marks closer together, and I'm trying to create some texture that looks like this is a really rough stone surface. And I almost want to create that look of like veins in the rock. You know how rocks do that. They've got some veins. What I'm doing is just making it more spaced out. Just fewer dots. And they're just not gonna be very, they're not.
Kind of thing too.
Yes, perfect, okay. I'll try this a little bit on the top one and see how this looks.
Now I'm gonna do my big stone. Wait,
So,
I'm gonna do my
boys and girls, you
small
can do this where you just add some detail in a finer Sharpie or pen if you want, or just space it out more. So that worked nicely. Thank you, Addie. I just feel like I want this little part darker in here.
There's a little bit of stippling down.
And I want this to look like, you know, like there's a crease and a crack. I'm gonna try to create those creases and cracks because
Did I do
stones-
crease and cracky thing?
You did. That looks awesome. Okay, we're gonna slide this over and show you Olivia's. Look at this beautiful detail that she's putting in here. All these little
This line was
creases
too
and-
long.
I love it. It looks so good.
Mom,
All right.
looks like a potato. Let me
Let me see.
Looks like a potato.
No, it doesn't. We'll add some more if you
Oh,
want
Ellen,
more
you have
marks.
to do crisscross under for the shadow. I do not have to do anything.
Okay. All right. Mine, I think, is done. The only thing I could add to it at this point is an animal if I wanted to add an animal, or a fairy, or something fun like that. Okay. All right, we are ready for paint. Now, what we're going to be doing is
No, I'm not.
to add some more texture. We're going to put down some watercolor, and while it's wet, we're going to throw some salt on it. And what salt does is it like sends the water away, and it creates some really nice texture. So
We get
so
blank.
here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wet a little bit,
Mommy, I don't want
and
my
I'm
big
gonna go
stone.
with
I'm afraid I'll miss it.
some blue. A little bit
Maybe
of
you
blue,
should do more lines.
a little bit of gray. Whoops. Okay. So this is a little too gray, I think. So I'm gonna try to add more water and spread that color out. But I don't mind having some slightly darker areas. I'll keep dipping into my paint.
You got gray water.
Now, you kind of, when you're working with a salt technique, you have to work fairly speedy because you don't want your paint to dry before you have a chance to add your salt.
And there's a salt container.
Now I'm gonna add a little bit of blue
Oh, Addie, it's over there.
want a little bit of blue. Oh, do we lose our salt?
No, you just
Uh-oh.
tossed it somewhere.
Okay. So now I'm gonna put my paintbrush back and I'm gonna sprinkle some salt right onto that fresh paint. And I'm just gonna let it sit.
Blue.
I'm gonna let it sit and dry that way.
No, it's just
And we'll
the
sprinkle it off
blacky
after
color.
it's dry. And you can see if you look, it's starting to push some of the color away. And when those come off, those where all the little specks of salt are will be just a little lighter, creating a little more texture. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to my next stone. I'm gonna make this section a little darker, a little more blue. Kind of like the idea of a bluey edge. Your color's too rich when you're working with watercolors, just add more water. You want it nice and wet. You want, see how I can push this paint all around? That's how wet you want it. If you start working and your brush is dry, then it's not wet enough. You gotta add more water to your paint.
Alright, Mommy, I'm all done with my Sharpie the rocks.
Perfect, you're ready for paint. Grab some paint. It's beautiful. Look at that. That looks awesome.
How about
I can't wait to see it with
wanna
you.
do
Eyes
the
on
That
background.
looks gorgeous.
wanna do
Good
the
job.
Now I'm gonna paint it.
So
with
Addie's a
some
4th
red.
grader. Livy's a 6th grader.
Helen's
Ellen is an 8th grader. So
7th.
you can all do this.
Great.
Doesn't
Can't
matter
decide who
what grade you're in. You just work to the best of your ability
Oh, I haven't done
and
salt.
have fun. That's the most important part
I
of this
didn't put any
project.
salt though.
Oh, I'll put this out here. You have to finish your whole section, the whole stone. Whoops.
I want a little bit more black.
You know what that makes me think of? The Stone of Scone in Scotland.
Oh, Mommy, this
The Stone of Scone that was stolen.
Or so they say.
No, it was. It was stolen from Scotland by the English. And I don't remember the date, like somewhere like 15 something, 1560s or something. And then
Mommy, I'm gonna do grass, like my grass green.
it was taken to Westminster Abbey where it is today. And the Scots have a legend that wherever the Stone of Scone sits, a Scottish king will be on the throne. And it's funny that actually in England, the current royalty is descended from Scottish lines.
How
So
much salt
technically
can
it
you
is
do?
kind of a Scottish queen that sits on the throne. Queen Elizabeth. Alright, I'm going outside my lines and that's okay. I'm not worried about that. Now I have a lot of paint in my brush and a lot of color, so I'm just going to bring it down here. I want to sort of scoop this color up because I feel like it's too dark. So I'm going to just take it down.
I'm gonna do
Even going to
my
add some down into
green.
here a little bit. Just bring this color, add some deeper shadows.
Ooh.
And you can do that too. You can still add, even
I
if
have
you've
this
already put down
green.
your salt. You want to add some darker
Just
tones,
do a little bit of that in the front. That's not.
add some more texture. Ooh, okay, this is fun. See, look, girls, see what I'm doing? I'm just sort of experimenting, but after I did
Wait,
the
can
salt,
we do a big sun in the background?
yeah, do a sunset.
Wait,
anything.
can I do it like right here?
Yep.
I'm first.
I would start with your stones. I would just.
I know, I still want to just wait, do I outline the sun like with a Sharpie? Would I?
No, I would do that in just paint.
Okay.
I think if you did it with Sharpie, it would,
Ruin it?
yeah, it would be too
Dark.
severe.
Okay.
And look, all right. So I'm gonna stop here for a second. You guys can do your background however you want. You can pick whatever sky colors you want.
Just
You
not
can do
green.
whatever you want for a foreground. You can range it from browns or goldens to greens, whatever you feel like.
I'm
Mix
doing
it up.
like green trees now.
Ooh, very nice. And I'm going to fast forward through the landscape painting part, and then we'll stop at the end. Okay, so we finished our piece. Here is how mine turned out. Hope you can see it. So as soon as it dried, I brushed all the salt off, and you can see the little bit of texture that it added to the painting. That was kind of fun. Now, your paper, unless it's, even if it's thick paper, this is good watercolor paper and it still kind of wrinkles up. So the best thing to do is, once it's surface dry, but still not fully dry, like there should still be, I guess I should say, don't let it dry overnight, but press it between something. So what I do is I put a blank piece of paper on top and I stack it under some heavy books. That will help it to lay flat and dry flat. Another thing that you can do is to put tape before you start watercoloring. You can get thick masking tape and you can tape all the way around the edges and tape it to some kind of a cardboard board, or even the tabletop. I have a wood table, and I will sometimes tape it straight to the table and do my painting and let it dry, and then after it's dry I pull it up, and that will help hold it flat. But with this one we just painted it and it turned out fine. So there you go. That's the completion of this project. Remember that you can pause, you can rewind, you can watch it again and again, you can add your own twist to it, and as always, have fun, enjoy the process, and keep watching. We're going to post more videos with more fun projects later in the week. Have fun, my friends.